it was very, very interesting. In fact, there are some people who have written books about Franklin, calling him a spy master and even questioning his loyalty to the United States during the Revolutionary War, because it came out years after the war that Franklin had a double agent, a British spy that was working on his staff, and that he'd been warned about many times, but he never did anything to get rid of the guy. And there's actually a book out there called Ben Franklin, Patriot or Spy. It's called Number 23, Ben Franklin, Patriot or Spy, because Franklin's code name with British intelligence was Number 23, or Number 72, Number 72, and he was also called Moses. That was his other nickname. But Franklin was involved with a secret group in England called the Hellfire Club. And you mentioned this last time I was on the radio with you, Jason, about Franklin and the Hellfire Club, and then now they found in the 1990s they dug up his home there in London and found all of these dead bodies, the bones of these cadavers and so on.
And that's mainline news, by the way. That's not just me and you talking about it or some obscure author. I think it was like London Telegraph or Guardian. I mean, it was as mainline as it could get.
Yeah, in fact, today they've turned his home into a museum where you can go there, and they actually have some of the bones. They found not only the bones of adults and children, but they found animal bones beneath those.
Oh.
And I've seen a few pictures of the remains, and they look like they're sort of blackened in places and charred, almost as if they had been burned. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things that satanic groups do, they have human sacrifices, but they also have animal sacrifices as well. And, we can only wonder. Their official explanation is that there was a medical school in Franklin's home for like a year and a half or 2 years, and that's where the bodies came from. Mm-hmm. But still, he was, deeply involved with this Hellfire group that had been founded by Sir Francis Dashwood. Mm-hmm. And Dashwood was like a close advisor to King George III, who was the king we were fighting against in the American Revolution. Dashwood was a member of the House of Commons, the House of Lords. He was a prominent member. And there were other political figures that were a part of this group that called themselves the Monks of Medmenham Abbey, but their nickname was the Hellfire Club. And I believe the Hellfire Club, if you study them and what they were into, I believe they were a precursor to the Bohemian Grove Club that you guys exposed in Alex Jones' video, showing the rituals in the Bohemian Grove. Mm-hmm. Some of those guys are dressed up like, Catholic priests and cardinals and so on. With
exactly. The head guy wears what looks like a pope hat. He's in a long robe, and he has himself a staff as he gives this very Babylonian Gaia worship ritual. And then at the end of the ritual, someone rows in on a boat, gives him an effigy of a baby. Meanwhile, there are probably a dozen or so other gentlemen holding torches in what appear to be druidic-like outfits, waiting for this cremation of care, if you will. And then they drop the body on this fiery, altar in front of the owl god Moloch, this 40-foot statue that's hollowed out and has their little sound system in it. Everybody starts cheering and fireworks go off, and that's the kickoff of this ceremony. Very Christian.
Yeah, well, you've exactly. But all those elements, well, at least the dressing up like, popes and cardinals and bishops and this kind of thing, the Hellfire Club did all of that. They also had a statue, which they have sort of a parallel of at the Bohemian Grove. They had a statue as you went into their underground of a figure with his finger over his lips, like be quiet, don't keep secrets. And they do the same thing. Who is that figure?
It is St. John of Maplenock, and they openly have him as a mascot. And if you see it, it's a statue of him going like this. And, later on in the program, probably after we go over Riddles in Stone in the next segment, I want to go over this Maitreya figure that is also at the Bohemian Grove and also very, very large. It seems that the more information we get about the Grove, the more into the occult they are, the more they are into all these different mystery religions, all these things outside of Christianity. And, they all, not all of them, but, the people like the Bush family, we're Christian conservatives. Really, what are you doing at the Bohemian Grove? And this Maitreya figure is just as massive as this Moloch figure. We're going to go over that on the other side. It's the Alex Jones Show. Yeah, the people saying that are the elite. Better off dead. That's what population sustainability is about. And, I don't like it any more than anybody else does, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to report on it. We're joined by Chris Pinto, who is the writer and director of the Secret Mysteries of America's Beginning series. That's The New Atlantis, Riddles in Stone, and, of course, the latest, Eye of the Phoenix, Secrets of the Dollar Bill. You can get all three of them right now at the InfoWars shop for the bargain price of $59.95. When you get two, you get one free. And like I said, these movies are each well over 2 hours. They cover, this interview, we're not going to be able to cover 1/10 of the information in these films. And what's really great about these films, Chris, and on the other side, I want to get into this Maitreya figure and all that other stuff, but what's really great about these films is that you go to the Theosophic Society. You get information from the horse's mouth. You talk to high-level Masons on camera, and they reveal so many telling things. One of the most haunting images for me in the entire series is when you're explaining the Stone of Destiny and Nicholas Roerich, and the gentleman who's at the Theosophic Society shows you the little bust of Nicholas Roerich. I think it's a copper bust or something like that. And he starts rubbing the box. And the look on his face and the way that he's rubbing this box that Nicholas Roerich is supposedly holding of the Stone of Destiny is just so eerie. Was that kind of the goal, to go get the information from the horse's mouth, to go to the Theosophic Society, to go to those people that would talk, positively about people like Manly P. Hall and people like who wrote Morals and Dogma? Why can't I think of his name? Who wrote Morals and Dogma? He's big time in the series.
Albert Pike?
Albert Pike, that's right. Busts of Pike. You do such a great job of, again, getting the opinions of those who are in favor of this stuff, who love Nicholas Roerich, who love to be Masons. Was that the goal, to get it right from the source?
Absolutely, that was our intent. As we began with Volume 1. There's a lot of books, a lot of literature out there talking about these issues, talking about Freemasonry and the secret societies and so on. And what I was really hoping we'd be able to do is to talk to as many of these people as possible. And we created a History Channel type format for the series. Mm-hmm. And we told these guys, we let them know in advance what we were going to ask them about. So we didn't go in and sneak up on them. I would send everybody their questions in advance. Mm-hmm. And these are guys who often speak out against conspiracy theorists and people like yourself and Alex Jones and guys like me and whatnot. And so, our approach to them was, hey, listen, we want to hear your side of the story. Just, these are the questions I'm going to ask you, and you tell me what's the right understanding of these things. And so the interviews were very casual. I tried to keep them very relaxed. There was no, hostile, trying to put them in an awkward position. I just asked them the questions and then let them talk. And I guess because they were relaxed, they were willing to come out with and reveal, I think, a lot of information that they would have been much more guarded about otherwise. And at least that's what we're told from others who see the series. But that guy, Dr. Obadiah Harris at Manly Hall's Society and Library, who's rubbing the statue of Nicholas Roerich, he's a particularly creepy guy. He's the guy who says that democracy has an occult promise to it. And you see, you and I, we grow up in America. Most Americans grow up with the idea of democracy, and we're just thinking of it, you vote on issues, and it's the will of the people and that kind of thing, and it's just American freedom. To the occult societies, democracy, the idea of self-government, it takes on a whole different meaning. and it's just a very bizarre, very mystical meaning, and it's about the idea of humanity really ascending into godhood, and they look forward to a central figure, whether they call him the Maitreya, the Christ, the world teacher, a central figure this is why there's so much worship of Barack Obama, because they're looking for somebody like this who will step forward onto the world stage and lead mankind into this glorious golden era. But this man, that they're anticipating, they believe that he is a god.
And on the other side, we're going to get into that Maitreya. It's the Alex Jones Show. We'll be back. We are back. It's the Alex Jones Show. I'm Jason Bermas sitting in. And before we go back to Chris Pinto, I want to thank another one of our great sponsors, pepperspray.com. That's pepperspray.com. The call line is 1-800-908-9988. That's 1-800-908-9988.